from when you've seen it last, but yeah, I painted it, as you could tell, and this is tips on how to paint a gun, and it's unloaded, and, you know, see if you can see the plug down in there. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, yeah, this is a video about tips about painting your gun. And first of all, I want to say that I got this idea. This isn't my idea. This is Pro Rancher. It's his YouTube channel, Pro Rancher. I haven't seen the video in probably like 2 years, but it's how to paint your rifle and how to camo paint your rifle. Look up that on YouTube and look for the video by Pro Rancher, and that will be. This is exactly what I got it from. So I'll talk about the camo itself. Is that mine is set up for a woodland environment, which is what I have outside. So you're gonna adjust the amount of paint and everything. So mine is dominantly green. Oh, if you look back, it's mainly green, is what you're looking at here. And so if you live in Arizona or whatever, then you'd probably want the khaki, probably a little bit darker than this, but as your base color, well, as your main color that you see. So first things first is what you're going to do is you're going to have a base coat and a base coat. So you're going to use mine. This is the base coat that I did. It's just a satin khaki color. It was no camo special high speed stuff or anything. It was just what the hardware store had, so I painted that. And so you're going to want flat colors unless you want a glossy gun, which is kind of pointless to have a camo that's glossy, but yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a nice base coat. You're going to have it nice and thin. And make sure you take the drying time in consideration, because I had to, because I painted, you know, I took the forearm off and the barrel off and taped off things. And when I painted one side and flipped it over, all the newspaper stuck to it. It was this side of the receiver and then the other side of the barrel, so I had to sand off the newspaper and then redo the base coat. So make sure you're patient, just don't rush things, and you'll have a better result. And so the next thing is what you're going to do is that's the only thing. Well, okay, so you have your base coat done, and once you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to get either a Rust-Oleum, Krylon, or this stuff. Which is more expensive. It's the only thing that they had. $7 a can. And then that stuff's like $4 or $5. But it's a green and a brown. So you have a khaki as base, a green, and then a brown. And it's going to depend if you're depends where you live and where you're going to be operating. But so what you're going to do is you're going to spray this into a container like this, and you're going to get a sponge. This is a square sponge. It's really dry now because it's been sitting outside for just a couple weeks. I actually have the other piece for it here, but it was a square like that, and you just want to cut it off round. And this is really stiff. It's really hard to show you, but you're going to want to go like this, so it creates a round surface. And then you're gonna put blotches, depending on the size you want, but blotches all up on the gun everywhere. And then you can do that both sides, let it dry. And then you can take brown, do the same thing, spray it in the can. Then you're gonna get a painter sponge, and you're gonna want to cut off the end and then tear it up so it's nice, so you have a flat surface to work with, and then put speckles there. And don't just have the rectangle showing, because it doesn't look natural to have a bunch of rectangles and stuff. As you can see right here, I would go like this and then add an extra blotch so it looks good. And then once that's done, that's your paint job. And so then what I did, because I wanted a main green environment, and besides this khaki was too light for my taste, as you can see, If you look at the khaki carefully, I don't know how well this will show up, but you can see it on there how it's didn't quite get on fully. But what I did is I put the gun down and took about 2 feet back and misted over it with green, so it creates a darker effect. And that's why my bolt is misted with green a little bit. But you just want to mist it with whatever color. So like if you have a brown dominant, you're going to mist it with brown. If you have a khaki dominant, you're going to mist it with khaki. And it's going to make everything tint green slightly. And then you're going to clear coat it, which I used this, worked really well. It was real chalky, so I had to wipe off the gun after it was all dry. But it's just a flat clear coat. This is Clear Sealer is what it's called. But Valspar is the brand. It doesn't really matter what the brand is. And so yeah, you're gonna. That's why this gun looks a little frosty. That's the clear coat, and once the clear coat rubs off, you can add as much or as little as you want. And one thing very important if you have pump shotgun, which caused me a big headache, is this part here. You want to paint very light with this part, because I originally had it, because this part of the magazine tube is regular, but this part I did regular like the rest of it, go to the camo and stuff, and it wouldn't have the forearm go all the way forward, so I had to sand off some of it, and to be able to get the forearm actually off, let alone going forward. And so once you get it, you want to just put a thin coat, like just leave your base coat here, or I am green dominant, so I just took the green and painted the end of it green. So keep that, don't cake a lot of paint on there, that'll save you a lot of time. And another thing is don't paint rubber. Like the butt pad here, it's flaking off and everything. And so yeah, just tape off the rubber. And then you wanna, I made the mistake of getting paint in here, and what that happened there is I had to sand some of it out in order to get the barrel on. So just don't get paint in here. If you do, very light. And yeah, it's still it's still loose enough where you can do that, like pop it open most of the way with just a little push down. But it's yeah, it's still nice. The camo pattern makes your gun look individual, and why not do it? So people are gonna say, oh, why would you ever put spray paint on a gun? One, the dude in the video did it with his $1,000 AR, so a $300 870 ain't gonna hurt anything. And just don't cake it on, because you'll cake it on and it'll flake off. Like right there, it has flaked off a little bit because there's too much paint at that section. Same with what happened there when there was too much paint. It flaked off, and then I just sand some of it down and then repaint it, but you know, it works good. So another thing is that I have, well, this is what people are gonna say, oh, it's spray paint's crappy and it'll fall off in, you know, a couple months or whatever. This is an airsoft gun that I did 2 years ago from the same video, same technique, and as you can see, the clear coat is worn off most of the way. And but it is held together. I mean, if you abuse your gun more than I abused this airsoft gun, broken airsoft gun at that, then you shouldn't be owning guns if you're going to abuse them like that. But basically, the edges are going to wear off. You know, like the charging handle, if you have an AR, the mag well is going to wear out. The paint's going to chip off there. Another thing on mine, where it's already begun to chip off, and the finish is already chipped off, like before I painted the gun. Right here, where you slide the shell in. Here's an empty shell. It's empty. Because when you push the shell in like that, you're scraping it. Of course the shell gets stuck because it's all wrinkled there, but yeah. See, it gets stuck there. Yeah, you're basically scraping the shell on that. So you're going to expect somewhere, but overall it's nice, and check out his video. So, yeah. comment, rate, subscribe, and click that like button.